The writer to the Hebrews opens his letter saying that in the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets at many times and in many ways. In these last days, God has spoken to us in a Son, whom God has appointed heir of all things, through whom also God made the ages. The clear implication here is that there was no Son in the past, that is, in the Old Testament times. The one God spoke through the ancestors, that is, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and prophets like Moses, David, at many times and in many different ways. And all things, says the writer, which include obviously the Genesis creation, were created by God, that is, through the Son, not by the Son. These New Testament Jewish writers understood the Old Testament principle that the one God created the world through, in, or for the Son. As some commentators rightly note, Rabbi Johanan said the world was created for the sake of the Messiah, according to the Abingdon New Testament commentary. Another writer notes, we confess our belief in creation with an eye to Christ. From him we learn the final purpose of creation. Paul similarly in Colossians chapter 1 verse 16 says that in Christ all things were created, that is by God, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created, that is by God, through him and for him, that is the Son of God. The noted British scholar Bishop N.T. Wright, in his commentary on Colossians, notes that the passive phrase were created indicates, in a typically Jewish fashion, the activity of God the Father working in the Son. To say by the Son, that is, could imply not that Christ is the Father's agent, but that he was alone responsible for creation. In other words, God's original Genesis creation act depended causally on the Son. Apart from the Son, there would have been no creation at all. As a result, note Paul's final claim in Colossians 1, verse 16, that all things have been created, that is, by God, through the Son, and for the Son. The dictionary of Paul in his letters notes that the phrase may also echo elements of Jewish tradition where Israel or the elect are referred to as the ones for whom God created the world, and then they provide the following extra biblical references in the book of Ezra and the Testament of Moses.